Hello, American Patriots, and welcome to the Douglas Ducote Show. I assume it's live now. Been attempting to go live since 8 p.m. And just like many other conservatives and Republicans that are using YouTube, we are being heavily screwed with by the powers that be. So it is what it is. I want to start by welcoming everybody to the show. I'm sorry that I'm a little frustrated at the moment, but I've been screwing with this for 45 minutes trying to get this show to kick off. And if YouTube continues to do this, I don't know what my other options are at this moment. No other platform seems to be worth a damn that I've attempted to use or that other people use. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. At the moment, I can't even go live on my own website because of some legal issues that I'm working on, but hopefully that'll be fixed in the very near future. So anyhow, I want to start tonight's show by telling you that I just got back yesterday from a trip down to Florida with my son, my oldest boy. Got him out of the house, which is something that needed to be done. Go down to Florida because Florida is open and we're not on the same restrictions as most of America is. So that was a very good trip for both of us. We saw some things when we were down there that we found to be very interesting. And for starters, the beach is open during the daylight hours, sun up to sunset. But after that, you have to be off the beach. So I guess that means that at night, the COVID-19 comes to the beach and appears, but during the day, it's not. So I'm not sure what that's all about. We found out that the fishing pier there in Pensacola Beach, Casino Beach, that we love to go on. It's a great place also to take photographs of the beach. They had it restricted to just people fishing, where since its inception, you can fish on it, you can walk on it, you can go take pictures on it, you can just do whatever you want to do on it. All right. But no, they said because of COVID-19, only fishermen are allowed on the pier at this time. So I don't know. I guess that if you have a fishing pole, COVID-19 doesn't attack you. Didn't make any sense to us, but we weren't fishing, so we didn't get to go on the pier. We also noticed something that was interesting with all the different restaurants. Nobody's on the same sheet of music. I don't know if it's the restaurants doing it themselves. In one case, I know for a fact it was because I asked the manager, but it doesn't appear that Florida put out any guidelines as to how they're going to open in relation to protection for their workers. For instance, we'd go in one restaurant and all the wait staff is wearing masks, but you can see through the kitchen and nobody's wearing a mask where they're making the food. Go in another restaurant, they're not wearing masks, but they all have to wear rubber gloves, surgical gloves. But yet they don't have to change them out. So they got the same gloves on for hours and hours. They're touching everything there is to touch, obviously, because they're waiters and waitresses. So I asked this manager of this one restaurant, I said, well, what is the purpose of this? All right, what's the difference in touching everything with your gloves and then touching your hands touching your face or not? And he said, well, it's just for perception to make people think that we're doing something. So that was that was kind of interesting and stupid. Some places made of the staff, everybody wear everything. They had to wear gloves, they had to wear masks, and then other restaurants we went to didn't have to wear anything. They were just going about their business. We did go eat at Hooters on Pensacola Beach, and all the girls had to wear masks. So there's no set across the board. This is how you're going to do it. So didn't matter to us. We didn't wear masks. We didn't wear gloves. We just were ourselves. We had a great time. My kid got to do some, this is my special needs son, my 30-year-old that I took down there. He got to do some go-kart racing. They had a go-kart place set up there. And also, he did, excuse me, they had a confidence course set up, which was really neat, where you climb up certain levels. It was like 4 different levels. And then you have to walk across little bridges or rope bridges that are moving. You're wearing a harness, so if you did fall, you're not going to go anywhere. And he wanted to do that. He wanted to do it. He wanted to do it. He wanted to do it. So I finally said, okay, I'll let you do it. And up he went. No fear. Everything was great till he got to the very first obstacle. And you're only about, 30 feet off the ground in the first obstacle. And he froze. Literally froze. And really just panicked. And he couldn't come down. He couldn't go forward. Nothing was working. So the person in charge of it said, you want to go up there and help him? And I'm like, well, yeah. So they put me in the harness and I went up and I said, well, we can either go down or I will be with you and we'll conquer these obstacles. And so he decided he wanted to try the first obstacle. So he wanted me to go first. So I did. And walked across this rope bridge thing. And then he came next. And he did it. And I was a very proud papa at that moment because he doesn't step out of his comfort zone for much. For instance, rock climbing walls where you're also hooked to stuff where you can't fall and hurt yourself. He doesn't do that. He's tried it, gets 10 feet off the ground and no. But in this case, he did it. He went across this rope bridge very slowly, but he got to me at the next section, and it was very special. And so now we got to go back or continue on to the next one. And there's like 4 levels, and each one you're going up higher and higher. At this point, he was, no, I want to get down. So to get down, you got to go back where you started at. So he did that, and down we went. And I was very proud of the young man. And now I want to try and get him to go parasailing with me. I think that would be really cool. Every time we've attempted to do it, he changes his mind at the last minute. The other kids have done it with me. So we'll see. Maybe in the future he'll do that. I want to let me get past that now and go on to what this show is about. And it's probably going to get flagged by YouTube. Maybe that's why we couldn't even get the show started, because of the title. The title was ISIS on the Move. And they are trying to take advantage right now of our situation with COVID-19. It's going under the radar. Most of the news media is not talking about it. Fox News did a little bit on it. I haven't seen anything on CNN or MSNBC or anybody else for that matter. But it's very concerning because we had a terrorist attack this morning in Texas. And most of you probably have no idea what I'm talking about it. But yes, we had a terrorist attack on the Naval Base at Corpus Christi, Texas. So let me read something to you from the Counter of Extreme Project senior researcher there is Joseph Lewandowski. Said, given that much of the world has been distracted by the coronavirus pandemic and lockdowns, bending of healthcare systems, economic downturns, and political divide, concerns have risen that the Islamic State group, or ISIS, has and will continue to exploit the distraction to sustain its global reign of terror. ISIS views the global pandemic as an opportunity to weaken its enemies further. Governments are trying to maintain their focus on international security issues. At the same time, they're addressing global health crisis that has also sparked an economic crisis. He said, ISIS recognizes that and sees opportunities to take advantage of the increased fear among citizen populations, as well as governments that are refusing or that are refocusing and stretching their resources. In March, just as the stay-at-home orders were taking hold across the United States, ISIS, via its weekly publication Al-Nab, N-A-B-A, NABA, didn't even know they had a publication, called on its operatives to strike against the West. ISIS sees the entirety of the West as the enemy of Islamic, guilty of destroying its physical caliphate. ISIS has incorporated the COVID-19 pandemic into its propaganda, praising it as a divine punishment for the West. At first, ISIS called on its followers to avoid affected areas of the coronavirus, but now ISIS has realized it can capitalize on the fear caused by the pandemic. So, before I tell you what took place today in Texas, let me go over something with you. I just went back to 1993, all right? 1993, Islamic terrorists in America killed 6 people and injured 10,042. In 2001, as we know, 9/11, killed 2,996 and injured 6,000. In 2013, they killed 3 and injured 183. 2014, they injured 5. In 2015, they killed 21 and injured 23. In 2016, they killed 49 and injured 95. In 2017, they killed 8 and injured 12. 2019, they killed 4 and injured 8, and that would be the Naval Air Station Pensacola. And then today, Naval Air Station Corpus Christi. Thank God they were able to stop this terrorist, but he was able to shoot and injure 1 Navy security person before they took him out. Total American deaths in America due to radical Islamic terror since 1993 is 3,087 Americans have lost their lives, and 7,368 have been seriously injured. So what happened? The FBI said Thursday that a shooting at a Texas Naval Air Station earlier in the morning that left the gunman dead is being investigated as terrorism related. The shooting began at 6:15 a.m. Thursday at Naval Air Station Corpus Christi, Texas. The shooter tried to speed through the front gate in a vehicle, but security personnel put up a barrier in time to stop the shooting. The man got out of the car and opened fire, wounding a Navy sailor who was a member of the security forces at the base. Security personnel killed the shooter during an exchange of gunfire. A spokesman for the Department of Justice said the DOJ's counterterrorism is working closely with the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the Southern District of Texas, and other federal and local authorities to investigate the circumstances of this event and all available evidence, including electronic media found at the scene. Investigators are working to determine whether a second person of interest is at large in the community. The attacker was an Arabic male. Federal authorities, investigators did not provide information about the possible second person of interest. After the shooting, it took around 5 hours to access the body of the shooter because they were concerned about possible explosives on his body, or the car rigged to explode. So it took 5 hours using robots to clear that. What they did find was in the car was a ton of ammunition. So had he been able to get through this gate, who knows how many people would have died at Naval Air Station Corpus Christi today. Thursday's shooting comes 5 months after a Saudi Arabian Air Force officer who was training at Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida, killed three U.S. sailors and wounded 8 other people in a shooting that officials described as an act of terrorism. That came out in the past 2 weeks. That, yes, that's now labeled as a terrorist attack on American soil. Federal law enforcement officials this week said the gunman in December's attack, Mohammed Sadid Asharama, had been in touch with al-Qaeda operatives about planning and tactics in the months before the shooting. And he was killed by a deputy sheriff that was responding to help out with the security forces there at Naval Base, Pensacola. And thank God for that. We are so distracted from everything the news media is putting out about COVID-19, regardless of how you feel about that, whether you're on the fence with it or you believe it's all made up or you believe the numbers are escalated. It is overwhelming the news media to the point that other things such as radical Islamic terrorism is not being reported here in America. And we know, just as recent as last year, the FBI admitted that there are numerous terror cells all across America where they're monitoring this activity. And at least every other month in America for the past several years, they've managed to stop terrorists, homegrown right here in America, that were ready to do some type of damage or kill for their Allah, their God. The other thing that's gone by the wayside is reporting on the border. I can assure you that the border has not changed. There are still thousands of illegal immigrants that are pouring across our southern border. And many of them, more are getting through today than last year this time. And the reason being is that we have a lot of our law enforcement officers on the border, regardless if it's the Border Patrol or it's Customs or the Sheriff's Departments or City Police of all the different counties and cities that are up against the border from Texas to California. A lot of agents and officers that are sick. Not only were they already getting sick due to different diseases that are brought over that they're exposed to by a lot of these folks, but now we've also got COVID-19 that's affecting a lot of officers on the border. So our law enforcement down there was already stretched thin. And now with COVID-19, it's even stretched thinner. And there's a lot of things that are not being done as they were prior to this due to safety precautions for the officers. So sadly, we have a huge influx of illegal activity, people, drugs, MS-13 gang members, sex trafficking that is getting through that otherwise wouldn't have. Or in most cases, we catch them. Every week, for those of you that do monitor, different news organizations across the country, you would know that, we've recently busted up numerous sex trafficking rings on the border where they were bringing across women and children. Sadly, there will be, and there is, and it will be more, families being welcomed by the angel families. And the angel families are those that have lost a loved one due to an illegal alien, whether it was a DUI or outright murder. And that is on the rise. I've had the honor of meeting many angel families up in Washington, D.C., as well as in Texas. Some of them I consider very dear friends of mine. And I don't wish, look, I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child. I hope that I never have to experience that. I know what it's like to lose my brother. I know what it's like to lose other family members. I know what it's like to lose friends. But no one should have to bury their child, especially because a person that shouldn't have been here in the first place was here and killed them. So this COVID-19, again, regardless of what you think of it, is causing havoc on more issues than you possibly could ever imagine. Besides the fact that it is splitting Americans against Americans, Republicans against Republicans, Democrats against Democrats, conservatives, liberals. It is a huge freaking disaster what's happening right now. You know, it used to be that it was just the big divide with the people that were anti-Obama and those that were pro-Obama, and how that was affecting America. And then it became Donald Trump and how that's affecting America. And now it's COVID-19. You know, half of America thinks it's all bullshit. The other half of America thinks it's 100% true. Then there's a group that thinks that the numbers are just inflated. Some that think it's not as bad as they're claiming it is. Then there's all types of conspiracy theories that are just running rapid, that are just absolutely insane. There's a lot of people on YouTube that are putting out information about COVID-19 that is not true. And I don't know where it ends. I hope that very soon we see a normal again in America. At least when I say a normal, let's go back to, or at least go back to Christmas of 2019, that kind of normal, before this was affecting all of us, literally, regardless if you've lost a loved one to COVID-19, or you know somebody that had it, or you had it, or you think it's all bullshit because of the lockdown and the closing of restaurants and churches and everything else. It has affected every single person, not just in America, but on God's earth. We are all affected. How we conquer this moving forward, well, history will tell. And I hope that as we move forward with this, we do so in a way that is logical and is common sense, because we're missing a lot of that right now, especially in our own government. The common sense level up in Washington, D.C., with Democrats and Republicans is absolutely stupid. And in my 58 years, I never, ever imagined I would see us like we are right now. where we're divided in a way that is unseen, unforeseen, a way that no one could have ever possibly imagined. If you haven't had an opportunity to get out of your house because of the lockdown in your area, try it. Get out. Go do something. Or go somewhere like I did, to a state that's open. It may be open with some stupid shit going on as to how they handle things, but here in Louisiana, we're just now starting to see a lift of restrictions. But in Florida, for over a month now, it's been heading back to business as normal. And that's what I chose to do. I did it with my wife 2 weeks ago, and I did it with my son. We just got back, as I said, last night. So there's one other thing I want to do. I'm going to end the show a lot sooner tonight, because I've stepped on some other YouTubers that are friends of mine that are trying to go live right now. Some of them are live right now. And because I couldn't get my show started on time, now I'm into their time, and I don't want, my audience watches some of these other people too. And we do certain hours so that we don't interfere with each other's program. My audience can leave and go watch theirs, and vice versa. But I do want to tell y'all this much. For those of you that have followed me for a while now, you know that there are people on YouTube that have been viciously attacking me. And you also know that it's reached a level that law enforcement had to get involved. And we have attorneys waiting to get involved once law enforcement does their portion of this. We have a bunch of people that I've already done videos on. I've talked about, there's the unread bat guy. There's the Dougie Ducote clown guy. There's just a bunch of different YouTubers that spend their day doing stupid shit. Whether it's just putting out videos that have no merit behind them at all, or actively involved with bomb threats in my name, or using email to send emails to all the people that follow me or that I've ever brought on my show before, and pretending to be me and saying I'm going to do horrible things to them. They've done this to airports, where they go into, and many other companies, where they go into their websites where you can submit a question, except instead of submitting a question, they pretend it's me, and they put in all kinds of horrible things about how I'm going to kill everybody, go into their business and slaughter everybody. Or if it's an airport, I'm going to fly bombs in there and blow the place up. And then for the information block, they put in Doug Ducote, and they put in my phone number, they put in my email address, and they hit send. So I've been in touch with a lot of people in law enforcement over the past 7-8 months about this. And they've kind of built up I guess you would call it like a little shield here around me to protect me and my family from some of this evil. And I'm happy to say that there has been an arrest made with one of these people. And that's all I can tell you at this point. The FBI, in conjunction with other law enforcement agencies, have officially arrested one of these people, and there are many more to come. All right. I've been waiting for this day for a while. The sad part about it, with COVID-19 going on, there's nothing legally we can do. I mean, other than what they did. They're in jail, so that's good. But as far as us going after them, once law enforcement is finished and suing them for what they did to us, my wife, my kids, my other family members, my friends, associates, because the court systems are all closed, pretty much, nothing's going to move. All right. So it's a waste of time to even attempt that right now. But it's coming, because we will be back to normal one day. And I've been saying that the arrests were going to happen, and officially they are. And one of those people right now is sitting in a federal prison thinking about all the stupid shit he said and did via email or via the computer. So there are others that haven't said the right words yet in a YouTube video, but they're borderlining that, and they're so much of a pompous ass and so secure that they have the freedom of speech to say whatever they want, that it's a matter of time before they slip up and say something that's enough to get the FBI to go take them down too. What needs to happen is more conservatives and Republicans that have YouTube channels that have this same kind of stuff happening to them need to stand your ground and need to see to it and push forward for law enforcement to prosecute these people. You just have to do it. If you wonder how to do it, because maybe you're not that skilled in how things work when it comes to the justice system, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to walk you through it step by step by step. Because until people stand up to these keyboard warriors, they will continue to do this. And unless you bring it up to law enforcement's attention and go, look what this person said, what they're going to do to me or going to do to my wife or my kids, and you stay on them to make them follow this through, then it's not going to happen. All right. They're just not going to, there's too much going on for law enforcement to be worried about keyboard warriors. But some of them get a following, and then they get people that are nuts that actually think that they should go out and do some harm to someone. And that's my concern. It's always been my concern. And it will continue to be my concern. So that's why I feel it is very important that when this happens to you, you don't just take it and roll over. You stand your ground and say bullshit. All right? There comes a point where freedom of speech is no longer freedom of speech. You don't have the right to put out a YouTube that you want to kill Doug Ducote and put a rope around my neck and hang me from a tree until my body finishes shaking. And that's exactly what a YouTuber recently did. All right. You don't have the right to call in bomb threats under my name or anyone else's for that name, because it's illegal. But it goes under the radar and goes unnoticed unless somebody stands up that's having it happen to them and go, you know what? Bullshit. Okay. I'm an American citizen. You may be too, or in some cases you may not be, but you don't have the right to do this to other human beings. And I assure you, if it's happening to you, if you stand your ground and you document it and you record it and you turn it over to the right people in law enforcement, they will do something about it. It may take some time, and we've been waiting for the arrest that took place yesterday. We've been waiting for that for 8 months, 9 months now. And it was finally done. So more to come. And I'll be more than happy to discuss it as I'm told what I can talk about and the individuals I can talk about at that point. Right now, all I can say is to the men and women of federal law enforcement, as well as local here in Lake Charles, and even our Louisiana State Police that were involved in helping with my situation. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And on behalf of my wife and my children and the entire Ducote family, you guys staying the course and seeing this through is amazing. I know that the arrest that took place yesterday took a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of money. And I'm blessed that you guys and girls saw this one through this point. And now it's up to the justice system to do their part in the courts and hold them accountable for their crimes. Folks, that's all I got for tonight. I want to go ahead and close out so that the other YouTubers that are starting their show tonight that I've stepped on, again, that I wish I hadn't, but I had no choice in this matter, trying to get this show to kick off tonight. How long YouTube will allow us to be up, I have no freaking clue. I expect it not to be long. So if you watch it live, good for you. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, those that are working in the hospitals, our doctors and nurses and medical staff, your families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, our president, and our country. Thank you. God bless you. And I am completely humble that you took the time where you could have done anything else tonight, but you took the time to listen to my program. And for that, I'm greatly appreciative. God bless you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.